Hold on. Let's try this. Yeah, I used yours.
Please, we'll start shortly. Just someone get it going. We're just trying to sort some things out.
Okay. Hi, Bola. Hi, Chisom. This is Salami.
Hello.
Hi, Salami. How's it going?
Good. Good.
Thanks
Hi,
for
everyone. Apologies for the delay. Welcome.
Hold on. Let's try this. Yeah, I used yours.
Please mute. Please mute. We are hearing Ima talk. Please mute Ima.
Okay, I think we can start.
We'll start shortly. Just someone get it going. We're just trying to sort some things out.
Okay. Hi, Bola. Hi, Chisom. This is Salami.
Hello.
Hi, Salami. How's it going?
Good. Good.
Thanks
Hi,
for
everyone. Apologies for the delay. Welcome.
Hold on. Let's try this.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Please mute. Please. Ima, mute. We are hearing Ima talk. Please mute Ima.
Bola, do you have two devices?
No, I don't.
There's nothing streaming next to you.
Can everyone hear me, please?
Chisom has two devices or something.
We can hear you, Chisom.
Yeah, Chisom has two devices.
No, okay. Yeah.
It keeps
Okay,
showing
great.
Chisom as multiple, but I don't think she actually is logged in multiple times. Chisom, if you are
No,
logged
I didn't.
log out, please.
No, I did not join multiple times. These are different people.
Change their names, please.
Okay, please, if you could please change your name so that we'll be able to
There are like
identify.
4 Chisom Amadis here.
Okay, so if you could please just confirm that your name is showing correctly, then we can proceed. Just give it a few more minutes and we can start.
Just looking at some of the people some of the attendees. Said Mrs. Bola Josina. Thanks for coming. Ayo Deligira, thanks for being here. Some of the people I recognize. Damiloko, Edzai, all the way from Joburg. Thanks for being here. Francis Sunny. Krista, hi Krista. Hi Stephen. Hi Tim. So is there anything else? Let's get it started, please.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you very much for joining our event today. It's a pleasure to have everyone here. Apologies for the delay. We just had to sort out some technical issues. So welcome once again to the virtual launch of LearnAM. It's a pleasure to have everyone here. It's so amazing that we've been building for a while now. What just started as a mere idea during the lockdown, like Bola would say, is now like a full-fledged product. So we are happy and excited for that. So thank you so much. Without wasting so much time, by way of introduction, my name is Chisom Amadi. I am the project lead for LearnAM. So today is particularly an exciting day for me as well, because LearnAM is basically my baby. So I would hand over to Bola right now to give the opening and welcome remarks as well. So Bola, please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Chisom. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can.
So thank you very much, and this is very exciting. I'm glad and honored to be here, not just as the co-founder and CEO of ScholarX, but just as I'll say a fan of doing things, doing hard things and bringing them to life, and be someone that's willing to dare and to lead a team to dare and to make things happen. This is a very exciting and happy day for ScholarX as a company, but also for everyone that really want to make a difference and build something that will last, build something for a lot of people. So I welcome you all. I welcome you all to the official virtual launch of LearnAM. Just in case you don't know what LearnAM is, it's a localized content platform to teach skills, digital skills and vocational skills for over 100 million people in Africa, and we believe that. LearnAM started as an idea during the lockdown. During the lockdown, a lot of things happened. Pretty much, even ScholarX as a company, we were questioning if we should continue as a going concern. We lost a lot of staff. A lot of our funding pipeline for our scholarship management activities dried up. Things were very difficult. And during that period, we kind of did a reset and reboot and decided to look at opportunities that were out there. And luckily for us, the GSMA Innovation Fund for Internet Adoption just released a call for applications. And we thought it was interesting and exciting that they looked at internet adoption, and we just opposed it to what was going on. And a lot of people losing their jobs just because, because of the lockdown, a lot of places are closed. So if you worked at a hotel or a restaurant or a lot of physical hands-on type jobs, you were out of work for God knows when. And the people that worked or had jobs with folks that did delivery, for example, but that meant you don't have to use an app the dispatch riders that knew how that are digital literate, that knew how to use mobile devices, that knew how to find their way around. People that knew how to find opportunities online, those people thrive. So in applying for the Innovation Fund by GSMA, we actually considered a sort of a brainstorming session. And I'd like to thank some of the members of that session who are here today, folks like Bankole Alao, and particularly also Larry Ogundikpe, who pulled me aside and said, Bola, this idea should be geared towards ultimately helping people get employed, especially in this kind of environment. So that's how the brainstorming session led to us thinking of LearnAM. During the whole process, like, what can we even call this idea? And it was staring at us right in the face. LearnAM, just learn it. Learn whatever you want to learn so you can improve your life's outcome, so you can get a better job, you can get access to decent work. You can, and once you get access to decent work, it's a multiplier effect to the family. And that's our whole thought process. But then we looked at the barriers. What are the barriers to entry? Cost and access. And so those are the two pillars of LearnAM. We wanted to make it cheap and available to access these devices that people will need to access content online. But we also wanted to meet them where they are. We wanted to, so that's why LearnAM is in localized languages. It's available in English, of course, but our focus specifically is in Nigeria to start with, because we are coming to sub-Saharan Africa as a market. But we are primarily right now launched on the Android and iOS platforms with Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, and Pidgin English. You can find content like how to repair a mobile phone, to how to navigate Google, how to navigate YouTube and watch content there, how to get a lot of things online, and how to be safe online. So we made all this content in localized language, so anyone that wants to learn something, there's no more excuse. Just learn it. And I'll be making a mistake if I don't thank the team behind LearnAM, particularly some of my lieutenants at Scholar X. I'll start with Maxwell Ogunfuyi, our CTO. Not only does he wear the CTO cap, but he has been incredibly resourceful with getting the content operations going. And within a month or two, our actual in-office studio will be live to create our own content locally. Currently, we are working with a third-party partner, as well as leveraging on some of the content we got from GSMA. To go back to GSMA, we are incredibly thankful. And we'll have some of the people from GSMA come and discuss the program shortly, but we're incredibly grateful to the GSMA backed by the FCDO, by the UK government, but providing us funding to help bring LearnAM to life. And not just funding, but they've been incredibly supportive throughout the process of developing the product. It's unprecedented what we've been able to do in so little time, and we are really excited about what's to come. Now, back to my team. So Chisom Amadi came on just right around the GSMA grant. We were doing the due diligence process. And she's been incredible, especially in terms of putting together the partnerships needed to have LearnAM run. So thank you so much, Chisom. Thank you so much, Maxwell. And Damilola Emose, our our Chief Operating Officer. She's been the glue that's gotten everything together, especially with our operations and all those reporting requirements by GSMA. I'm really appreciative of everything the whole team has done. And I also want to appreciate Karen Okosi, head lead of curriculum. She's been amazing. She's been around not too long, and she's taken the bull by the horn, and she's done amazing work. We churn out scripts weekly, and I'm really excited to for where we are going. And so again, I'd like to say today's welcome to a new day where everyone will get access to skills training and language, or cost won't be a barrier. Thank you very much. Jason, you can have the floor.
Thank you very much, Bola, for that wonderful address. Thank you for appreciating us. We enjoyed the work at Scholar X, and do everything possible to see LearnAM roll out seamlessly. So moving on, the next item on the program is to introduce our partners that are here present. Bola has already mentioned some of them, but who has fully supported us through their global adoption and digital inclusion grants, which we won to pilots and roll out LearnAM, so we really appreciate them. Then KaiOS, who we've built that we have LearnAM app is currently available on 2 platforms, KaiOS and Android. So we truly appreciate the KaiOS partners for all our partnership integrations that were needed to roll out the KaiOS app as well. Airtel is here, highly represented by Bankole Alao.
Hi guys, I think we lost Chisam. Bola.
Chisom, can you log out and log back in, or turn off your video? Sorry about that. She'll be back in a second. So yeah, just to follow up on what she was talking about, big thanks to Airtel for backing us from day one, and I mean actually day 0 during the ideation process, supporting all of what we were able to come up with. And I'd be remiss to not thank Bankole Alao, who has been our champion even through our due diligence process. And I'm happy that he's one of the panelists today, and I'm really excited during the fireside session to ask some questions around internet penetration on the continent and how things could improve going forward. So thank you so much. Thank you to the KaiOS team for supporting us as well. Big thanks to, so Chisom is back. Please go ahead.
Okay, so sorry about that. So next item on is the product demo by our lead engineer, Bayemi Kadri. So where you have the floor, please go ahead.
Thank you, Jisom, and good afternoon, everyone. So I'll share my screen now and show you how the product works on both the KaiOS app and then the Android app. So I'll walk you through the process on KaiOS and then for Android as well. Trying to share my screen now.
And before Okwe goes on, please, we'll like this activity to be on social media. So please, the hashtag is #LearnAM. The A and the M are capitalized. Launch. So LearnAM launch. Please, tweets using the hashtag, and our social media handle is LearnAM. So LearnAM is the social media handle on Twitter. On Instagram is _LearnAM. So please, let's get some engagement on social media as well. Particularly as you see the demo and you like what you see, please let's get some tweets out there, some posts, so that the other folks can also see. Also, it's being streamed live on YouTube, so you can send within your networks as well, and they can join and watch us live. Again, thanks to everyone that has joined, and we're waiting for Kwe to commence with the demo.
Yeah, sorry, one sec. I'm trying to.
Okay, you have the floor, please.
Okay, yeah, I know. Okay, all right. Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, okay, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes, but we can also see some code, so just get rid of the code if we can.
Okay. Yeah, don't bother about the code. Yes. Okay, all right. So sorry, can you see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the registration page when you launch the app, on iOS. So, and then because this featured phone doesn't have like the mouse wheel compared to like the Android smartphone or what's it called, or say Apple phones and stuff like that. So mostly to get around the app on iOS, what you need to use most of your what's it called, your keypads is what you need to use most of the time when you're moving around the app. So in this case now, you can decide to, if you already create an account, you can decide to switch to just log in, or if you don't have an account, you can decide to create a new account on what's it called, on the app. So now I'll go ahead now and create a new account and then go through the whole process of the sign up process. So also, because we realized that most of these users that use featured phones does not have email address. So when they are creating the account, email address is not compulsory. So what the requirement is just your phone number, and then you can create your password to create an account on the app.
Just to add to what Quay's doing, if you have questions, my team, the whole team are here, so post in the chat, and you'll get responses, and I may pick at some as well and respond as well. Thank you.
So I just need to click continue. So after registering, the option is to update your profile. So you could just enter your name, and yeah, I could just just to confirm that information is.
Can you, I just saw a comment about you seeing the presenter, not the demo. Please, Akwe, please, we are seeing your code. We don't want to see your code, please, Akwe.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, no, just give me a few seconds. Let me just do that, and I will share my screen again.
We can see everything you're doing, Akwe.
Yeah. So I'm trying to what's it called? Let me reshare my screen. Sorry, one sec, please. Okay, yes. So I'll go back to the KaiOS. So for now, I just want to like go ahead and share what's it called, and then walk us through the process on the Android app for LearnAM. So this is the Android app, and it has more what's it called? Yeah, because Android OS generally is more developed than KaiOS. So it has more features that is not available on, say, on the KaiOS mobile phone. So when you on the app, yeah, the first screen you see here is like for you to log in, and if you don't have an account before.
Wait, no, this is already in the language. Can you go when they select
Okay,
where they
yeah,
select
okay.
the language?
Okay, yeah, sure. All right, let me go back one step.
Please, attendee, if you have a question, just type it in the box. We are not accepting voice questions for now.
Okay,
We'll have time for Q&A, but please just go ahead and type in the comment your Q&A what your questions are. Thank you. Okay,
okay,
please
yes.
go ahead.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so this is the language option, which is like the first screen you see when you launch the app. So it gives you the option to select the language you would like to view the app. And then based on the language you select here, will determine the content you see on the app. So you can decide to select Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, or Pidgin, or English, depends on your most preferred language. So for this, I will go ahead and select what's it called, English language, and then go through the process to create an account. So I'll click on create an account. So just enter information, first name. Also on what's it called, on the Android app as well, the email address is also optional. Although at least we know most of Android users will already have an email address for them to be able to even download the app from the Play Store, or we're still going ahead making use of the phone number as your primary, the unique ID for each user on the platform. So yeah, you can decide to enter your email address or skip, or then enter your phone number to continue, and then your password. Then register. So this is a success message for you to know that you successfully register on the app. So you can proceed now to start watching content on the platform. So yeah, these are the major three categories we currently have: digital skills, personal development, and vocational skills. So for digital skills, if you over on or you click on any of this category, underneath you see the content available. So for now, we only have content available in digital skills. So we'll go ahead and then watch some of the content, the courses available in digital skills. So here we have the foundational digital skills, and there is an excerpt of what or a description of what it's all about. So on this same page, you can also watch like the course intro. So the video I top, you could decide to watch it to understand what the course is all about. And then if this is the course you want to watch as a user or you want to enroll for, then you click on the enroll button. So these are the modules available on this course, and then you could also see the timestamp for each of these content. So the internet module has like 3 minutes, WhatsApp, YouTube, Google, Wikipedia, Facebook, and the rest. So I'll go ahead and just click on the internet module. So to watch this, so also if you take notes, there is a button at the bottom of this page, which is continue. Also, you won't be able to click to the next video until you actually watch this video. So that way, we'll be able to track, okay, that the user are actually watching this content. So just trying to skip forward so that way we can.
Well, let the content go so people can hear the translation.
Okay, the audio won't play out on this. I'm not sure if they'll be able to hear the voice, the sound of.
Okay, all right. When you're done, we'll play sample content. Maxwell, can you please have one
Okay.
ready?
Okay,
We'll
all
play
right.
sample when you're done. We'll play sample one from one of the links. So Maxwell, please make one ready.
Okay, so now you see earlier on, I already dragged the what's it called? The content. So the continue button now is now enabled. So you can decide to click on continue to watch the next available content. And then you can also go back to watch any other module available. Also on the app, because the content might be so much that you don't know where to start from, there is a search button at the dashboard where you can actually search for the particular course. Maybe you watch it before and you're trying to just, or you heard about it maybe from any other what's it called, then you want to search for that, that particular content. So you could just type in the phrase here or the keyword, and then it shows you the content available. So now these contents are available in different languages. So now you can see we have a couple of Google modules, but if you look at the excerpts, for some of them are in English, the other ones are in Yoruba, Igbo. So you can decide to click on any one of these contents and then watch in the language that you prefer. So this is in Yoruba, yeah. And then if you're watching this, the content has been translated to Yoruba. So as a Yoruba user, if you're on the platform, you will also be able to get access to this content even without you understanding what English is. Also on the app, you have an option to always, you can go back to update, change your preferred language. When I registered, when I created this account, the preferred language was in English. So you can always go back and then change it to maybe Yoruba or Igbo.
Can you do that? Can you show how to do that? Also,
Yeah.
a feedback, go back one forward. You see where you had those different Googles. Let's find a way to tag it with the languages. So let's find a way, like maybe next to 3 minutes, to tag it Igbo, Yoruba.
Okay. Oh, okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
I'm sure Daniel is listening.
So yeah, you can go to settings and then you select language. So here, these are the available languages we currently have. So now I can, so let's just choose Yoruba.
So do Pidgin English so people can understand. Is Pidgin good now?
You said what?
Choose Pidgin so everyone can understand.
Okay, all right. And then you see some of, here now where we have welcome, what do you want to learn today? It has changed to what you want to learn today. So, and then also, if I decide to click on Foundation Digital Skills again now, then click on Enroll. So the contents available now are now in Pidgin. So you could see the description of this internet module is now available in Pidgin because I changed my language from English to Pidgin. and then the description. Also, this particular course, if you watch it now, the audio is also in Pidgin, not English.
Wait, can you speed up a little bit just because of time? I'm not sure if Chisholm is.
Okay. Also, you can also update your profile on the app as well.
Okay, are you doing anything? We don't see anything moving on your screen.
Oh, okay, all right. Hold on. Can you see if is anything moving on your screen now?
No, maybe stop sharing or reshare again. Nothing is, we can't see. It's just static digital skills, personal improvement.
Oh, okay.
Chisholm, how are we doing on time?
But you have 3 minutes more.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
So while Obe is preparing to reshare his screen, there is a question in the Q&A box, and our CTO is trying to answer the question right now. So for the sake of time, please just go through the Q&A box and then go through the answer as well. If you have follow-up questions, please let us know. We'll answer them. Thank you. Obe, please go ahead.
Okay, all right. Okay, so when you click on the from the menu option, then you could click on what's it called, settings to. So from here you could click on the help and then log out if maybe you're done doing anything on the app. So also just before by the end of the week, we're adding some new features to the Android app, which would also allow users to be able to do more than what we currently have. One other option, one major feature we're looking at is being able to watch some of this content offline. So when you come on when you launch the app, when you're online, it saves some of this content on your local device. So even when you're not online, and you still be able to watch some of this content, similar to what app like say Spotify or Apple Music does. So you could like download something on your phone, and when you're not connected to the internet, you can still have access to this content. But the way we're doing ours is the user doesn't necessarily have to go there to download themselves. We just know once you're watching a particular module, we download all the other modules to your local device. So whenever you want to watch it, even if you're not available on the internet or you're not connected to the internet, you can still watch this content. And that way you still save some data as well.
Well, Daniel, please, can you also talk about the end of course assessment and all of that? Those are important features that needs to be discussed too.
Yeah, so there is a quiz assessment when you finish watching a particular module. So that's just to be able to confirm, okay, if you actually go through this, it's like a quiz. So you get to know if this particular user actually watched this course or not. And then if it could be, say, maybe as...
Can you show that? Because we can't see anything. Can that be shown? That's very important.
Okay, I will show that. I'll share that while I'm showing the what's it called, the KaiOS device on the KaiOS app. Just 1 sec.
Oh, well, please, we're running out of time. Please, let's speed up.
Okay, while we wait for Ope to go ahead with the KaiOS demo, we would like to have the remarks by GSMA now. Leo, please go ahead. You have the floor.
Thanks, Chisom. I hope everybody can hear me well. So my name is Leonard Kore, and I work with GSMA. I manage the ScholarX grant from the GSMA side. So in terms of just a brief background for those who might not know, GSMA represents the interest of mobile operators worldwide and other companies in the broader mobile ecosystem. So within GSMA, we have a team, the Mobile for Development team, which focuses on driving innovations that reduce inequalities, and at the same time, trying to deliver both commercial sustainability and large-scale socioeconomic impact for the underserved. In terms of a brief background, in April 2020, we launched an innovation fund focused on solving the barriers to mobile internet adoption and digital inclusion. So this fund is supported by the UK Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office, FCDO, and GIZ. The fund received nearly 600 applications from startups and SMEs in 44 countries across Africa and Asia. So a very wide and diverse set of applications received. After a rigorous application process followed by selection from an independent panel of industry experts, ScholarX was actually one of the 9 startups from these 2 continents that were awarded funding. So this is a very big deal. And congratulations to the team again. The fund, so in terms of just speaking about the fund and ScholarX in particular, the fund focuses on providing organizations such as ScholarX with technical assistance. For ScholarX, we are helping them build the app that you've just seen in the demos, which provide digital skills to the underserved in local Nigerian languages. So the providing local context and local data is important for this underserved. And then finally, my last points. There are many interesting learnings and innovations, new things that this project brings to our innovation portfolio. But just to highlight three key aspects. The first one is the solution strongly addresses and solves barriers to digital inclusion through improving affordability and teaching digital skills. The second one, which was particularly interesting to us, is the focus on youth in a very interesting market, which is Nigeria, where millions are missing out on the vast opportunities presented by the internet, is important. More so, the solution also provides a genuine path for the underserved to gain basic digital skills, and then upskill themselves through other vocational skills. So such as like how to start a business, or which is important in that path to knowledge and improving yourselves. And then finally, the third important thing about this project for us was a partnership with Airtel, who are present on the call, Airtel Nigeria, that leverages each other's strengths, such as Colex's localized innovations that solve digital inclusion and Airtel's distribution networks. This presents a win-win opportunity for Scholar X and Airtel and us in terms of learnings. So to summarize, we are very excited, very, very excited to see the project scale, and more importantly, the impact that this project will be able to deliver to the underserved is something to look out for in the next several months. So thank you, Chisom, for giving me a few minutes of that. I'll hand over back to you.
Thank you so much, Leo. We're really grateful to GSMA for the support so far, and it's been an amazing journey with you guys. So moving on, we'll have to call on our first panelists for our first session today. The topic is financial inclusion, education, and device financing. The speakers are partners from VFD, Benga Omoloku, Afara Partners, Padikova, Maiwa Ulabi, Ruby Finance, Abolore Salami, Intelligra, Tayo Ogundibe, and KaiOS Regional Business Development Director, Teshira Khan. This panel will be moderated by our COO, Damilola Emuze. So Dami, please, you have the floor.
Just before we move right along, just because of time, I guess we're not having a welcome back. The app is live. Go on Play Store if you use an Android phone and search LearnAM, and you can look at all the features where you can send us feedback at info@scholarx.co. Reach out to us on social media. The app is live. Particularly the reason why we keep emphasizing, about the app on social media is that, yeah, we know most of the people that we are targeting are not online, but people within their communities are online and they can spread the message. So please download the app, take a look at it, and share it with your family and friends and people within your community that you think will benefit from it. So thank you very much, and Dami, please take it away.
Hola. Hi. Hi. Welcome to the launch of LearnAM. Where are my panelists?
Dami, you're live so we can hear what you're saying. And then anyone else, please mute, or if anyone is logged in twice, please, so that we don't keep hearing the echo.
Okay, so I will start on Tayo, who I can see on my screen. Hi, Tayo. Welcome.
Hi.
Dami, we can't hear you because you're talking.
Okay. Sorry, I got that, but so please let the chat.
Dami, can you please introduce the panel and what the panel is about before you get into the questions, please? Please introduce the panel and what the panel is about.
Hear me? So this panel in financial inclusion device financing for education, and the title of the panel is financial inclusion, education, and device finance. And because of this panel being Iowa, Kyle, and Afolabi. So in my usual, like everybody, to ask questions.
I apologize, guys. It seems that the internet connection is not that strong where Dami and Chisom is, even though we have alternate sources. So if it keeps going like this, I'm just going to take over. Chisom, can you send me over some of the details for this panel? If it keeps on like this, I'll just have to take it on because it's quite bad here.
Okay, Bola. I'm sending to you.
Just send to me real quick, please. Thank you. All right, thanks again. So I'll be leading this now because of the internet connection. This part of what we're solving for. If everyone can hear me. So the first panel is financial inclusion, education, and device financing. And this shouldn't take more than about 30 minutes. And we have some esteemed guests here. First, we have Gbenga Omolokun, VFD Microfinance Bank, is an executive director at VFD, and they are the ones behind the company behind VBank, our esteemed partner. We have Paddy Covers CEO, Maiwa Owolabi. Maiwa is a friend to the house, is also a worthy partner, and has been instrumental to getting all of this going. We have Mr. Tayo Ogundipe, the CEO of Intellegra. Intellegra is doing important work, and they are going to make, we believe, a lot of what we are doing scale, because they will let people get access to devices where they can pay small, and we are integrating them they're integrating with our partner Airtel as we speak. And then we have the regional business development director at KaiOS, Teshira Khan, here as well. So Teshira, thank you very much and welcome. So the first question I'll throw to the panel is, how does financial inclusion and its offering improve the level of education and skill of our population, which we know is important for us to build wealth as a nation. So the importance of financial inclusion. So maybe I'll start with Benga. Benga Omolokan, you can have the floor, please. And you can make some remarks if you want, and talk a little bit about what you do if you want. The floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Bola. Good afternoon, everyone. All right, so I'll just jump directly to the question. I think I'll typically like to flip it, the other way, right? So the question is about financial inclusion, helping with wealth generation and education. But I'll typically like to flip that, the other way and talk about how education actually helps with financial inclusion, right? I think there are so many studies that have shown with higher education, there's some correlation between how educated people are and their access to finance and their ability to create wealth, right? So I think for me, the important thing is actually how educated a lot of these people are. So when you think about the larger population, obviously education doesn't necessarily mean that they've gone to Harvard and have like a PhD or an MBA. It also means, informal education, right? So vocational skills, even understanding how to lay tiles or even do carpentry, for example, that is some level of education. That's a skill. And, for financial inclusion, we're always talking about, do these people have access to get credit? Do these people have access to the formal banking system? Typically, that's what we've always talked about when we talk about financial inclusion. There are pseudo inclusion mechanisms where you have those guys on bicycles that ride around and collect money from people. So they are jaw collectors and all of that. But for full financial inclusion, it's saying, do these people have access to the formal environment, the formal banking system, where theoretically credit is a lot cheaper than in the informal sector? So having an education, which on one end is even a skill set that allows you sell something or produce, I think is actually like a baseline to actually ensuring people start getting included in the financial services system.
Thank you very much, Benga, for your response. Abolare, oh, sorry, I didn't introduce Abolare as well. Abolare, Ribi Finance, please, if you can answer the same question and maybe add a little bit of your work with cooperatives to kind of add color to your response, to even use some of your experience with cooperatives.
Thank you. Well done, guys. Good to be here. I don't trust my connections. I'm going to stay off video. I think that it's important to mention how much impact education has on our market. Interestingly, I was talking to, startup world now, investor conversation happens all the time. I was talking to a potential investor this morning, and one of the questions that was asking was, what are the big barriers to expansion for our business? And well, let me say part of our business. A lot of people know our business mostly around the public side of our business, around cooperatives and now AGM banking. But there are other parts of our business, like our enterprise business, that we've not done so much media about. But I'll focus on your question around the cooperatives. One of the big problems there is literacy. 80% of that market is informal. 80% of that market have very low digital inclusion, digital penetration. So for us, it's more people doing the work of educating people on very basic things as to how to use a smartphone, or that's on the digital inclusion side, or how to use credit, because not everybody knows how to use credit. A lot of people, you'll be shocked to know that people still think that credit is dash money, and people, and I'm sure Benga is like, Salami, please don't bring me those kind of customers, right? They're like, you give somebody money, and we've heard of cases where people are like, don't come back to our village, or if not, we'll kidnap you. We're not paying back that money you borrowed us. And a lot of the problem here is not just poverty, it's also just education. It's the case of, you pay back this first 100,000 naira, in 6 months' time, you might be getting 1 million naira. So there's a lot of education that needs to happen, both financial education, just basic general. You've talked about vocational skills, but even just intelligence, just basic things that keep people educated around how to be successful with their business, how to be successful with their money, how to create wealth, preserve the wealth they've created. Education around what technology solutions are available, how to use those technology solutions. Because it's one thing to build it. This is not the US. If you build it, they won't come. It's not the case where you build it and they'll come. They won't come, bro. Wake up. You have to teach people how to
build
use
it
stuff.
And go and meet them, right?
Exactly. Build it and go and meet them and teach them how to use it, and go from teaching 10 people to maybe teaching 10,000 people, and maybe one day 10 million people. So I think there's a huge relationship between education and financial inclusion in that sense. And there's a lot of education that needs to be done. And we'll be glad to see more people put hands together to be able to do it.
Thank you very much, Salami. And it's a testament to a lot of the partnerships that we've put together, particularly even some of the work we're doing with Mexico in the Northeast. So I'd like to go to Teshira first, and then the same question will apply to Mr. Tayo Bundikwe. Is just give us a broad overview of device financing and the challenges in developing countries, the developing economies, and the opportunities. So Teshira, please, and if you could share a video.
Sure. So I think coming from a tech background, so understanding both the smartphone side and obviously the smart feature phone side, I would say that device financing is a proposition that addresses affordability, because people are not able to spend $100, $50, sometimes even $30 on a device. And that's why I think so many of these 2G devices are still circulating in the market, and they really are dumb devices. They don't give you access to internet, no financial and digital inclusion. But I suppose the issues that we see in Africa around device financing, and I'm sure Teo will also confirm this, is we have a largely unbanked society. And unfortunately, when it comes to device financing and having to lend people money to buy devices, you ultimately need them to have a mechanism that you can vet them by. And that comes with having a financial record. And then the other thing is having an address. And I'm from South Africa, and I've traveled extensively through Nigeria and East Africa and Ghana and many other places. And we do still have a very informal living situation in Africa. So definitely from device financing and the limitations that we see is people are scared to extend credit. It's a mobile device that you can walk away with after you've put down your first deposit, and nobody can really find you because we don't know where you live.
Thank you very much. So I'll come to Mr. Tayo Bundikwe now, CEO of Intelegua. So Tayo, please, can you walk us through the same thing with device financing in developing countries, and tell us a little bit, if you can, maybe in a minute or two, the Intelegua story, why you guys are doing what you're doing, and what's the success like?
Thanks, Bola. And again, thanks for having us here. Can you hear me well? All right, thank you very much. As my good friend Teshira said, at its core, device financing is a credit product, right? And this number one challenge, the fundamental challenge is that in most African countries, we really do not have a mass market retail credit infrastructure in place. And in the absence of that credit infrastructure, device financing cannot be layered on top of it. And so basically you can argue that the challenges of device financing is not that different from the challenges of access to credit at the retail level across the continent. Because what we're trying to solve is pretty simple. Cost is the largest barrier to adoption. And anywhere in the world where smartphone adoption has been like 80, 90% or more, Financing is the core engine that's been driving it. I mean, in the States, in Western Europe, Japan, anywhere you go, literally, whether it's straight financing or it's shrouded in what telco does, underlying it is somebody paying for it and allowing you to pay over a period of time. That, of course, is built on the existence of credit infrastructure, right? The credit infrastructure that allows us, as Teshira said, to know who you are, where you are, how do we secure the credit, how do we make sure that the money comes back? It's a business. And that's a huge challenge. So, and I think that has limited participation because given those constraints, understandably, the players that have been in the space to date have gone with what they can work with, which is essentially the banked population. And even within that banked population, a smaller segment that has fixed predictable income in form of salary income, which as you do that, you are essentially shrinking the addressable market. And a good chunk of those people that eventually qualify probably don't need financing because they can afford to buy their own phone. So the fundamental challenge is credit. There's no underlying credit infrastructure. And that has limited participation. So what we're trying to do at Intelligraph is to say, look, we know what works. We know how they've done it in Western Europe and North America and everywhere else. How do we find a way to replicate that in this part of the world and overcome some of these challenges, or at least start the process of overcoming these challenges? And that's what we've been trying to do. And we started that journey. Quite interesting to see our friends from Airtel on the panel. We started that journey with Airtel in 2016, did a proof of concept together with Airtel and REM Money in 2017, learned a lot from the process. And then we've spent the last 3-4 years trying to open up the platform, scale the process, and make it as friendly as possible, and then extend it to other telcos, essentially democratize participation in terms of number of devices that can work on it, from iOS devices to lowest end Android to high-end Android, and then finding a way to preemptively address the core issue of credit access. So both in terms of who are these people that we're trying to get access to, how do we get them? And fortunately, bringing the telco to the table gives you access. I mean, we know where people are, at least through the telco data. How do we then take these people, as Teshira said, with little or no formal financial record? How do we find a way to use the data we have on them, which is not really financial data, to in a way predict credit behavior, which is a tough challenge, and then use that as a baseline to get them into the formal system, and then hope that you gather enough data over time to be able to refine the information you have, be able to tailor your product better, and get more and more people involved. So in summary, it's not rocket science. The biggest challenge is credit. And we're just trying to work with the partners, both on the telco side and on the financial institution side, to start addressing that and solve it.
Thank you very much, Ty. I think that was quite insightful. And again, we appreciate the work you do. It's not easy. Like you said, data available is not credit data. It's not really data you can make a lot of decisions upon. So it's a very interesting work you guys are doing. So let me go to Maiwa. And it's a little bit of a different question. Part of it is because I know you. I think you fit this question very well. What can government do to boost the uptake of tech innovations, especially within the underserved and emerging customers or consumers? So, innovations, so to speak, because even some of these things are not high tech, they're low tech entry points. So in terms of getting more people access and supporting a lot of the work that some of our partners here are doing, what role can government take, particularly if you look at from a PPP standpoint, from a private entity that wants to kind of get things going, but needs the support of government. Government remains the largest spender in Africa still. So what role can they play and how can we get them to work with us?
Thank you. It's a trick question. I would have answered before, but you've asked. What government can really do is provide access. That's what they're best at. They can provide access. So through initiatives like TED Fund and Subeb and Co., they can provide access to private individuals that want to disrupt education, as it were, providing access to the students, to course material, to funding as well for them. So I think that's the best government can do. When you now start to add other things like maybe some policy and all of that, it becomes political. But at the first instance and at best, what they can do is provide access.
Thank you, Mario. It seems like so I knew other folks on the panel would like to respond to this question. So Teshira, please go ahead, and anyone else that wants to say something, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that's a good point. But what we see from a handset perspective is the biggest barrier to affordability on handsets in Africa is the fact that there shouldn't really be any duties or high duties on imports of handsets into our countries. And we see a lot of fluctuation in terms of those rates. And in East Africa, I will say they've done a fairly good job in two of the big markets like Kenya and in Tanzania. In Tanzania, they've just removed VAT specifically on phones. And there are no duties, import duties. But on the other side of the spectrum, we have countries where we've got 30%, 25% in terms of taxes. And what ends up happening is you find that there's a lot of gray imports because people don't want to pay it. Customers are not receiving the benefit. So for me, I really see that if governments could work towards normalizing these import duties and making them reasonable, I think there would be a high level of compliance from importers and distributors and all the players in the market, and the customer would receive the benefit of not having high taxes and duties on devices. Because the other issue is, yes, we need content and we need education and we need to take LearnAM down to the people that need it, right? So those people are ultimately, I mean, the Android story is there, but KaiOS is the device that offers access to first-time internet users. The content that you're putting out there, how to use Facebook, how to use the internet, how to use YouTube, is really directed at somebody who doesn't have a smartphone. So in my opinion, that means that we need to get the handset into the hand of the customer first so he can access the content. And there we need to reduce costs. And then we need the financial inclusion piece where we're willing to give people that are unbanked but have some record of something credit to get the handset. So ultimately, all these things need to be regulated and we need to find ways to make the tech accessible. Once the tech is in someone's hands, there's so much that we can do. There's so much content we can push. There's so much wealth that we can generate, because ultimately people become entrepreneurial when they have access to information.
Thank you very much. That was very interesting.
Quickly, if I may just quickly chime in.
Benga, please go ahead. And then
Okay.
I'll come to Ty.
Okay, yeah. So I get the point about duties, and I think that might be a complicated story to start, right? Myra's point about politics there, I think is very apt. But I think the most important thing government can actually do is, again, what we expect them to do really is identity, right? Because you can layer so many things on that. Who am I? Where am I? Right? Can you say this is Benga and know that when Benga goes to Katsina, it's still Benga. When he goes to Lagos, it's actually still Benga. Because on the back of that, you can layer so many things, right? This identity, even tracking or even understanding who we are, has created so many fintechs, right? You have the fintechs that help with KYC verification and all of that. Not only can you layer education on this, you can also layer credit, which I think at the end of the day is very important, either to the people supplying the phones or even to the people buying the phones, right? It's important in that entire value chain. So I think the most important thing government can actually do, and not just for this industry, really solve that identity problem.
Thank you, Benga. So I know my Salami may also want to talk. Mr. Tayo, please go ahead, but let's keep it short because we only have 10 minutes left for this panel. so we can get into the other parts of our program.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to quickly add an interesting real-time example of how government can actually help without needing to do much. I'm calling you from Rwanda, and what we found out with our project here is because the government here embraced digital inclusion at the highest level through an initiative called Connect Rwanda, which preceded our own project here, it has made it a lot easier to get pretty much everybody up and down the chain to embrace the concept of digital inclusion, right? So when you take meetings, whether with financial institutions or with telcos, not only are they interested in it from the point of view of micro profitability, a recognition that they are plugging into a nationwide initiative that government puts a lot of premium on. So just accepting, just providing that thought leadership, by embracing the importance of digital inclusion, financial inclusion, and of course, all the various digital content and services that can be layered on top of that, we go a long way, even if government doesn't spend a penny, because it sets everybody together. So when you go to people and you tell them what you're trying to do, almost always one recurring theme is this connect Rwanda. And that gets people excited about, okay, this is something that we as a country have all bought into, and therefore we want it to be successful.
Thank you very much.
Hi, Bola.
Abulari, please go ahead, and then I'll just get like 2 minutes close out from each of the panelists. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this today. But Abulari, sorry, Salami, please go ahead.
Yeah, so take this as my 2 minutes close. I like to keep it short when I don't need to speak much. Effectively, I love what Tayo just said. Hi, Tayo. I know we owe each other a conversation. We'll get to it soon. But effectively, think of the what Tayo just said now, and a lot of the time, what is missing is just a conversation. It's not necessarily because government needs to build a road that only startups will be driving on, or they need to do one special internet that is cheap, it's only for startups, or they need to provide money, it's only for startups. Not necessarily that. Sometimes you just create the room for a conversation. Just the way Tayo explained now that Rwanda has done with their Connect Rwanda program. Imagine the government say for real that across all agencies, create a startup desk and make sure that you can receive, say, 50 startups every day, or whatever the case might be. And if any startup has any problem, there's a dedicated desk for that conversation to happen. And then we're talking about things like, then with that conversation being open, we can say, oh, CBN, don't reserve dollar at foreign. I know this is one of the areas we should not be talking about in public, but I'll take the risk. We can say CBN, create all your Forex allocation, provide 5% of it to startups. We can't pay for AWS, we can't pay for Zoho, we can't pay for whatever. I don't understand. How are we going to run the business? How are we going to pay salaries if we can't even pay for the services that allow us to deliver these services? In which case, the services are not even available reliably in the country. So I think for me, that's really the biggest thing. And that conversation, that dialogue, solves the problem of, you say EdTech, FinTech collaboration. How does that happen? For example, at scale, not necessarily just EdTech, FinTech. We happen to be collaborating with quite a number of people because of the kind of market that we are in. It's a big hassle, even trying to build relationships across the spectrum. You have to do everything yourself. Go to Abuja, go to Kaduna, go to Jigawa, and go everywhere physically, which is not scalable at the end of the day, but hey, we'll do what we need to do. So just creating an avenue for those conversations to even begin to happen freely, and not the one that it will be that you have to make sure that somebody is happy and everybody is happy and go to all the weddings and all the burials, and figure out a way to do some special greasing of palm and buying ram at Ileya and Ampa at Christmas before you can even have a dialogue. I think dialogue is probably the biggest thing government can do right now. If they create those dialogue environments, every other thing can flow on the back of that. And I really indeed hope that more people will take educating and empowering the continent, the country better beyond just, oh, I just want to provide financial service. There's a limit, or I just want to provide my own service. There's a limit, there's a ceiling on the uptake in terms of the number of people that can comprehend and use what you are trying to sell. If you don't educate the rest of the people, we're literally just going to, all of us are going to be recycling the same 10, 20 million people out of a country of 100, 200 million people. Thanks for having me, Bola.
Thank you very much, Abulari. Hopefully we'll meet someday soon. You're one of the people I've not met that I believe I should have met. We'll see sometime.
No worries, no worries. Just send me a big RAM and all is forgiven.
If it's RAM, we can arrange that one.
just kidding, just kidding.
All right, let's go to Myra, your closing remarks, please. And thanks for being here as well.
Okay, so the panel is financial inclusion, education, and device financing. Financial inclusion is very, very key. You know, if you're not financially included, you can't really be counted, as it were. Education is key. You know, in as much as you think education is what you get from the four walls of a school, it isn't. There are lots of things that through LearnAM you can distill, distribute, disseminate to people. You know, all the various empowerment programs, some that we discussed this morning, are key as well. And LearnAM allows this happen. But because some of those people are not included per se, they don't have devices, they can't go to school. Okay, we bring it to them via phones. How do they even get those smartphones? Because it's not the 3,000 Naira ITEL or Nokia devices that are going to help you deliver that content, as it were, for now, you know. So device financing plays a key role. Likes of VFD and Telegraph play a very key role. And the customer aggregators like Airtel are very key here. So my final statement or my summary is that all are key, and I like what LearnAM has come to do right now, and I wish all of us the best. Thank you, Bola.
All of us indeed. Thank you very much, Maiwa. Teshira, please, you can have the floor.
Thank you. Wow, yeah. So I think our biggest role is to start with some level of digital inclusion. I think if we just cast our minds back to what's happened in the last sort of 18 months is we've all been forced into our homes. And like somebody mentioned, yeah, if you weren't working for a corporate or a very strong organization, you probably lost your income. And for the world to function, you needed a device, whether it was a computer or a smartphone or some access to the internet. And I think with everything that we're speaking about, the first step for me is digital inclusion. Because without the digital inclusion, you can't get the financial inclusion because you don't have a means to do that. And I think the education piece is driven, unfortunately, these days by that piece of hardware, and it's probably where the power sits. So that's what we're aiming to do is to try and lower the cost of hardware as best as we can, but still give people access to smart and intelligent services and access to internet, and then comes the interliga piece and the bank, where I think people need to start taking risks, and that piece comes with the operators as well. The operators have been sitting with customer data for years. You know, you have customers that, yes, we may not know where you live and we may not know what you do, but we know that you spend X number of dollars or Naira or Rand or whatever on your network every single month. I mean, we've seen customers spend $20, $30, $40, $50 on a little 2G phone. So that means that person is generating business, is running a business, and could be a credible financial customer on somebody's base, whether it be the bank or the financier. So I think my closing remark is we need to potentially change the way we view financial inclusion. We need to start changing the rules and and not always fall back to the traditional safety nets that we've known. Otherwise, financial inclusion in Africa is just never going to grow as rapidly as we need it to. And I think that it has the potential to do that with its informal behavior.
Thank you very much. Tayo, Mr. Tayo, please go ahead. And let's, as much as possible, keep it to 2 minutes so we can get to the next panel. But thank you guys so much once again. And Tayo, please have the floor.
Well, congratulations again to you guys, Bola, Chizon, and the team. Really, really proud of what you're doing. I actually want to again go off from what Teshira said. I believe digital inclusion is the starting point that we build financial inclusion, digital content, and everything on. At Intelligram, we genuinely believe that the only computer most people in Africa will ever own is a smartphone. And the sooner we can get a smartphone in everybody's hand, a smart feature phone in everybody's hand, the more we're able to get them financially included, and we're able to layer all these very critical digital content and services, of which what LearnAM is a very, very critical piece. I mean, it's so self-evident now that it's critical, right? We've just gone through a period of lockdown, and if you are not digitally included or connected, you are basically left out. And those are life-impacting experiences. So the good news for me, I'm an incurable optimist. The good news, in my opinion, is I started by saying that retail credit was the biggest problem, but we don't have that in Africa. That's the bad news. The good news, of course, is that there seems to be a convergence of interest, at least from a business perspective, where financial institutions are suddenly realizing, out of necessity, that they really do need to build a very significant credit retail portfolio because they've been burnt with their big ticket lending, so they needed to spread it. And as somebody said earlier on, one of the areas the government can make a difference. It's just by, small changes that basically says, look, a big chunk or a certain percentage of your credit portfolio should go to the retail segment. And because with that, one of the easiest things to do is the collateralized retail loan, which is what the smartphone financing is. Because at least there is something small collateralizing it, and you can build some security around it. So I'm optimistic that this will come together. Congratulations to you guys. We got to do it. We have no choice. And I think the timing is now, and I think it will get done. So congratulations, and we look forward to this collaboration going very, very fast.
Thank you so much, Tayo. And last but not the least, VBank, Bingo Moloko, please go ahead. And thank you guys again. This has been good. I wish we had more time. We can delve into some more parts of this topic. But again, thanks a lot. And if you have questions, type it in the chat. Because of time, we won't do a Q&A for this session, but just type it in the chat, and then we will comment on them and respond. So Benga, please go ahead.
All right, thanks, Bola. Once again, congrats to LearnAM. So we're going to make sure everybody LearnAM by force, right?
LearnAM by force, correct?
Yeah, so LearnAM by force. I'll just echo what Tayo said. I think financial institutions ultimately have started looking more at lower retail credit systems as well. Because again, in the last couple of years, you've seen all the rigs packed in Marina for oil and gas transactions that have gone bust. There's a large population base in this market segment. And we also realize that a lot of people in the BOP and say even the traders in the markets, when you lend these people money, because they know that, look, this is a source of my livelihood, they tend to do better at loan performance. So how much more if you provide them with a device that they also see as a ticket to them, for them to actually learn new skills, which also reinforce their livelihood. So it's definitely the right time, and we're solidly behind it. So once again, congrats, Bola and team.
Thank you so much. Apologies because we're running a little bit late. Again, anyone on the call, please tweet any comments, remarks that you like. Tweet at our panelists as well. The hashtag is LearnAM launch, or you can also add LearnAM by force. I think I like that too. LearnAM launch, LearnAM in caps, and launch, and then you can also add LearnAM by force. Thank you guys so much. This is really exciting And thanks again to all our panelists. So we'll do like a 1 minute reshuffle to bring in our new set of panelists, and Chisom can take over. Thank you, guys.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Bola, for moderating that very insightful panel. Thank you to our speakers as well. It was quite insightful and interesting to learn 1 or 2 points from you. So going on to our second panel of the day, the topic is
Chisom, are you there?
I am unstable, but I hope you guys can hear me now.
Chisom, there's so many people under your name, so it's kind of quite.
But this is the real Chisom. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you.
So let's just move over to our second panel. It is connected through content.
Panelists
speakers
here.
for yeah. The speakers for the panel are
Please, I'm hearing
our
multiple.
CTO, Maxwell, CEO, Molade, Education CEO, Managing Partner, GA Enterprise Limited, Memisola Abudu. Thank you guys for being here. Our speakers can hear me indicate, so go ahead.
We can hear you, but you're breaking up. You're not, your connection isn't exactly clear.
Yeah, it's breaking up. So, and so because of time, maybe I should just take it up again because of time. Or can we try and start, and then if it doesn't work, I'll just come in. We're missing one person. Susan, are you there?
Yes, okay. I am. You can go
please start. You know what? Let me just take over Chisom because the internet is bad and we're running out of time. We're running out of time, so I'm just going to look at what you sent me. All right, thanks everyone for joining us on this panel. Really happy to have some of my people here to join us, and really excited about this panel. So the panel here is connecting the mass market through learning /localized content. And today we have some very dear people to me in terms of what they do and the kind of work they've done within our space. So I'll start with, we have the Molade Adeni, is the CEO of Wave Academies. Thank you, welcome Molade. We have Larry Ogundikpe, the CEO of Imperial Education. Larry has been a day zero on LearnAM. We appreciate all your help. Bemisola Abdu, she's the managing partner at BMGA Enterprise Limited. Welcome, Bemisola. And lastly, Benga, or people call him Benga, is Maxwell Ogumfui, our CTO at ScholarX and co-founder. He is leading the charge with our content as well as the technology. And so I'm excited to have all of you here. So I'll just kick it off real quick, start off the panel. What do you think is the ideal time for a product like LearnAM? So maybe we'll start with Larry. Larry, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Thank you very much for and everyone else. So the question you said, why is it the ideal time?
Why is it the ideal time for a product like LearnAM to be introduced to the market and to try to connect as many people in the mass market to the internet, to a smartphone, and to content, like
Right. So I think first of all is addressing the digital divide that is very, very evident within our market, and then also being able to drive down learning to the last mile, pretty much. And it's important because, I mean, we see the climate of the economy right now. We can blame a lot of things to lack of education, like Salami said in the previous panel. So outside of lack of education, it's also lack of critical education, that can enable people create a livelihood for themselves. A lot of people only just engage based on what they see in their environment. So a product like LearnAM exposes them to other ways they can generate revenue, create a living for themselves. Because like Bola mentioned earlier, one of the key things that we identified in our brainstorming session when we're doing this was identifying what's the end. After they learn and they do everything, what's the end goal for them? So if you look at the mass education category, it's mostly adult learners that fall into that category. If you look at what mass education is in the Nigerian context, it falls under adult learners. And a lot of adult learners already either cater for family, have children, or, are basically at the age where they want to start to earn a living, but they are just limited to what they know as business around their environment. So I think a product like LearnAM obviously just exposes them to everything else that they can potentially do and become as an individual. So yeah, let me not stretch it. So I think, because I can talk about this one. So I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Larry. So I'm going to go to Molade, and I want to start by welcome, Molade. It's nice seeing what you're doing. Remember a conversation that we had with one of your classes that you guys were leading, and a simple word was used, and one of the one of the participants was like, "What does that word mean?" And how you explained to me that during some of your courses, you guys actually have a dictionary in the classroom, and you kind of tend to explain what a word means to go ahead. So with that, if you can give us a little bit more insights, kind of then also come back to the same question: is why is a localized learning platform like LearnAM important today as we see things moving ahead? Thanks again for joining us.
All right, thank you so much for having me, Bola. I'm going to reverse your question and start with the last one first, just to piggyback on what Larry has said. I think I agree with everything that he has said, but the one thing that I think the LearnAM, opportunity or the solution does is a lot of young people, why do they not learn in classrooms, especially underserved youth? It's because they still have to continue to earn while learning. And when you have to think of a classroom type of learning, they can't really afford that time to not be earning that daily wage as well as going into learning. So some of them do want to learn, but when it comes to, do I want to put food on my table or do I want to learn a new skill? At the end of the day, a hungry man is an angry man, and a hungry man still needs to eat. So what the LearnAM solution does is it actually gives these young people an opportunity to continue to learn while earning. So whilst they're doing their low skill jobs to be able to put food in their tummies, they're also then able to learn at the same time in their own at their own pace, upskill themselves, get new skills, and potentially begin to increase their incomes. I mean, one of the things that is important to us at Wave is income transformation. So, Larry talks about what's the end game, right? It's not so much about getting you into a job, but what we want to be able to see is year-on-year income increase, year-on-year income transformation, that because of this skill, you now can go from A to B. And in year 2, you can go from B to C, and then you can go from C to D. So income transformation is extremely important. And I think that is one of the reasons why this is now just taking learning out of the classroom and placing it in the hands of people so they can learn at their own pace. And yes, when we talk about localized content, so yes, at Wave, we do serve 18 to 35-year-olds who come from different backgrounds. And we realize that, words that you and I might find relatively easy is, to many people, they don't even understand the meaning of some basic English words. And it's just, it's a function of our education system. There's a lot that needs to be done to sort of bring that up and sort of help people comprehend a little bit better. And employers are also, employers of labor, even when you're communicating with people, if you're running your own business, they're looking for, there's certain things that, employers are really looking for. So localized content means that I can actually learn in a content and in a language that is relevant to me. It means that those concepts, I don't need somebody sitting next to me like we do in our classrooms and have a dictionary to say, open up, what does this word mean? But it's being delivered at a level that I can understand. And then from there, I'm able to sort of build it up. So if I listen to something in Pidgin English, as an example, and I understand it, I can actually go back and listen to that same thing in English, in proper English. But because I've listened to it in Pidgin English and I understand the content, it now makes it easier for me to learn in proper English. So I think localized content is definitely what we need. There's lots of learning content out there, but there's not a lot of people who are, meeting the customers at the point where they need it. So I think that for me, those are some of the interesting things about the LearnAM solution. So let me stop there.
Thank you very much. Maxwell, I'll come to you last because you are the host. So we have to allow our guests come first. Maybe kind of the same question. It seems like this question is very popular. So it's kind of the same question, but you can add your own little twist to, and maybe also bring us inside what you guys are working on and how you're going to help scale 230 million people that need some 230 million jobs by the year 2030 will require some sort of digital skills. So tell us how you're going to do your own part, because this work is for all of us.
Thanks for having me here. So as you know, at BMG, what we focus on exclusively is soft skills. But what's interesting about the approach we've taken is, before we launched this company, we wanted to understand how human beings are designed to learn. And we spent a significant part of that really speaking to neurologists, speaking to anthropologists, to understand how the human brain gathers, retains, and recalls information. Because that's very important in terms of how you present information. Because one of the things when we're doing research is realizing that the way whether it's your typical educational curriculum or whether it's training programs or corporations, that you find that people don't retain a lot of the things they learned. And our objective was, how do you present material in a way where people retain a lot of the information they learn? And when I say soft skills, I mean, for us, research shows that by 2030, and I know it's one of the things I've discussed with several people, that because of the rise in AI and automation, 2/3 of jobs are going to require an intensive requirement of soft skills. And when it's all said and done, we're talking about just basic as business etiquette. How do you communicate in the workplace? Emotional intelligence, negotiating skills, ability to solve complex problems. So that's what we focus on as an organization. And we deal with that on different levels, from working with academic institutions. So we focus on students in their last year of university, and we have work readiness programs, and we focus on corporations, helping them to reskill and upskill their workforce. What I really am excited about what you guys are doing, I mean, in line with what we do in terms of soft skills, is helping people when it comes to personal improvement. And when it's all said and done, I mean, we always talk about, for us, we say that BMG starts where traditional education and training ends, because when it's all said and done in the workplace and in life in general, because it's a life skills, your ability to communicate effectively determines whether you're successful or not. Whether even if you're in the informal economy, at the end of the day, can you communicate to your customers? Do you know what language, the right language to use? And when you say localized content, I mean, I'm bringing that into this, where there's the using relevant context within that environment you're in for us. But in addition to that is the language of instruction, which is why I love what you guys are doing, where you're having it available in the language people actually understand. Because research shows that if you teach me, I remember I was in Dakar 3 months ago and had an opportunity to meet with several universities over there. And they will tell you that one of the challenges they're having is that when you teach kids in their language, right? And what of language, which is what they understand, they perform better versus if they are forced to learn it in English or they are forced to learn it in French. And it really comes down to, if you can teach, there's that saying that if you speak to a man in his language, you speak to his heart. And it's really being able to provide education in the language that's my first language and what I understand. And I love the fact that LearnAM is doing that, where whether it's from a personal development perspective, I mean, whether they like it or not, with the digital divide, if we don't equip people with these skills that are relevant to them, they'll be left behind. And I love the fact that you're going out there to meet people and meeting them at the point of their need. I know with what we do, we're more so dealing with professionals. We're dealing with like entry level, mid-level, and executives. But I like the fact that when it's all said and done, if you really look at the breakdown, the structure of the economy in Nigeria, I love the fact that your product is really catering to individuals who need not to be left behind. So I'm quite excited about what you guys are doing. You know, I reached out to you the day you sent me the app. Like, this is amazing, because one of the things we want to do long-term is we have a white paper we're working on with Cambridge right now. And it's going to shock people because the white paper is going to be released in Yoruba, Hausa, and Igbo, because we're used to coming out with white papers in English and saying, let it be translated, which when it's all said and done, that's not our local language. It's the national language we've chosen. But at the end of the day, if we want to see the language of instruction where it becomes something that it's embedded in our curriculum, we have to make sure that, yes, English is important because we live in a global village and people have to be plugged in, but also people need to have access to information in their own language. So I love the fact that you guys are leading the charge on that, and you're making it available to individuals who actually desperately need to learn in that way.
Thank you so much, Bami. That was quite elaborate and insightful. So Maxwell, same question, but then now take it to how EdTech is breaking down barriers to learning and making content more relatable and easier to digest. So again, that same question. I know you can't. If we allow you, you'll talk for 3 hours because of
I know
you put in and the insights and all of the things you've gained. But if you can summarize it with maybe
all right. I know why you called me last. Yeah, I know why you called me last. All right. Thank you, Bola, for that question. That's very interesting. Let me start from my own personal experience. In the year 2000, my elder brother actually assisted me in practicing for my mathematics. You know, one unique thing he did was to explain bearing and coordinates in Yoruba language. When that aspect of the question came out in the exam, I trashed it very well because I was taught in Yoruba. Now, fast forward 3 years later, a professor on sabbatical actually taught electrical circuits, how current flows, how voltage is measured, how resistance really works in Yoruba language. And I still remember everything he said. Now, that was me. Well, would I have performed differently if that was how all my courses were taught? Who knows? Then COVID came. Do you know there are over 1,001 learning contents on the internet? But the question is, are they really accessible? Maybe. Are they relatable to all Africans? Well, I would say no. Question is, what can we do differently? What are countries like China, what are they doing differently? What is Russia doing differently? Please note on this point, everything they are learning is in their mother tongue, not in a language that they had to learn first. So let's come back to Nigeria. Nigeria is the most populous nation in Africa with over 200 million people, which is true. But note, 93% of employment is informal, according to a 2018 report by ILO. The need to ensure that this percentage of people are properly equipped to compete with their counterparts, especially for some of us who are white-collar jobs around the world, we cannot overemphasize that. A great number of workers in the informal sector, especially those in the small and medium-scale businesses, are not formally educated past secondary school. Well, we'll say we are privileged. We are above master's, PhD for some of us. But what about those who are not proficient in English language? That poses a challenge for them, as most of the materials that are available today are curated in English language. And that was what was mentioned earlier. What can we do to help all of these people? Now, LearnAM was bettered just because of this set of people so that they can be equipped properly. LearnAM approaches a 360 approach to this problem. And what is our goal? Our goal is to build the largest skills platform for the underserved market in Africa. And this will guarantee that all our users can learn competitive relevant skill, which is digital or vocational skill, and they'll be able to compete with the skills that are available and earn more income. That is the end goal, for them to earn more income, for them to be able to bargain very well with their counterpart in this field. I would say what we are really doing differently is to ensure that these courses or our learnings are in localized languages, and they are also in bite-sized format. Take the likes of TikTok, a short video. You remember them when you watch them. Why not convert your learning to same format? That is what we've done with LearnAM. And guess what? For those who take any of the courses on our platform, they remember, and we have a very impressive learning outcomes. Well, let me stop there. I still have a lot to say, but let me stop there.
You guys can hear the passion in his voice. This man has not slept in a year working on this. He's the CTO, but he's very hands-on with the content team because, people say, how do you do the content? How you I just point them to Maxwell. And if you speak to him, you understand how we are able to build what we've built, how we are able to scale the content. We have some other things coming with getting content providers as vendors on the platform. So there'll be a dashboard where you can upload, there's a portal where you can upload your content, as long as it meets our standards and all the things our requirements. And then as there'll be a revenue share partnership. So as people subscribe to your courses, you can see your earnings on the dashboard. There's a USSD code coming up. So a lot of the subscription will be easy, bite-sized. So there'll be short micro subscriptions to the platform. So our code is ready. I know the code right now, but I can't reveal it. But so that USSD code will come out there, and people will easily be able to see it. Also, watch out to a secondary city near you. And I say secondary city, so if you think of Ibadan, Ilorin, in Kano, parts of Kaduna, in the Northeast, all over the country, you will see our billboards go up soon. Quara should be up now. And so we're going to be out there. So thanks again, Maxwell. I don't know, I know Maladi has to jump, but Maladi, do you want to add to any of the things Maxwell said, or just want to give like a general closing comment? So, because I know you have to run soon.
I'm still here. I still have about 10 minutes or so.
Okay, great.
So
Okay, great then. So let me ask you the next question. What do you foresee as the challenges with localized content, and what makes it an enabler for the success of EdTech? So yeah, it's cool to have some of these things in local languages, but we also know all of these things comes with a challenge. In your own experience with Wave and so what you guys have a curriculum, you guys teach people, you've placed so many young people on jobs. As you work through that experience and trying to fit things to meet what they're looking for, what are some of the challenges you faced, and how can we overcome that?
So I think to be fair, I think there are a lot more advantages to localized content than disadvantages. I think the sort of biggest
other than
thing
it being expensive.
other than it being more expensive. But I think one of the things we need to sort of understand right now is globalization, right? Is that I can actually learn in Nigeria, I can learn in wherever and work anywhere. That is one thing that the COVID pandemic has actually shown us, that it's very possible to work anywhere in the world, and the access has become a lot easier for a lot of people. Now, I think what we need to do, and this is maybe from a regulatory standpoint with localized content, is how do we begin to make sure that the content is recognized by globally? It's probably one challenge that I can sort of think about. When you have young people who are going through these learnings online or through the smartphones and are learning in a localized content, what LearnAM, I think, what the challenge that I'm putting out there, and also one of the things that we've been looking at with Wave is how do we make sure that this is internationally accredited, or how do we make sure that this is learning that this young fellow can take anywhere, and people will put a tick of assurance on it to say, yes, this learning is complete, it's full, regardless of what.
Let's go ahead.
Regardless of what language it is, it is really getting, it's really sort of getting that certification. We have been looking a lot into micro-credentialing. And what do I mean by micro-credentialing? It's just, little small bits of credentials for certain things. How can I say, same with Bemisola, we are focused on soft skills, because we believe that regardless of what industry you go into, people hire for those technical skills, but people fire for the lack of soft skills. And soft skills is one thing that is definitely missing. You can call it anything: soft skills, life skills, human skills, all of those sort of fancy terms. But these are the things that really make people excel on the job and actually move them from point A to point B. And that's exactly what LearnAM is trying to do as well. So when we start thinking about micro-credentialing, is that you now have a credential or a badge against something like critical problem solving, which means that you have gone through an accredited program and this person is certified to be able to solve problems in a critical manner. And it's just those little things. And I think that is, I don't know that is quite specific to LearnAM, but I think it would be interesting as a challenge to see how do we make this accredited anywhere, globally, worldwide, such that a young person in Ogbomoso, and no offense to anyone from Ogbomoso, but someone in any parts of Nigeria can begin to access jobs right here, still present physically here, but access jobs in Canada, access job in Asia, access jobs anywhere else, and use the credentials in order to be able to do that. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Malade, on that. I sense that Larry, do you want to go next, and then Bemi will go after that. And the question is I don't know if you remember the question.
Yeah, please just read it
again. I'll read the question again.
Oh, you see time. Oh, for new treatment. Chicken for the work.
Please, someone is.
My voice is on this meeting. That's in bed. No, me that's not strange.
Please mute.
Should I give you money for it?
Bola, you can possibly
treatment.
You're a host. You've got the right.
Treatment.
Mute everybody.
Yeah, I have. And then if you're speaking, just on mute. Give me a second. I'm looking for a question. All right, so what do you foresee? It was maybe a new question, actually. Larry, how do we ensure that there is a level playground for vocational and formally trained individuals? So in the informal sector, how do we ensure in an environment, I'm not sure we can completely make it level playing. At the end of the day, it's in your hands to advance and mobility and everything like that, and maybe make it to where Bemi is training people on that level. You move from where you are and now meet the people that Bemi Sola and her team are training. But what can we do to at least ensure that things are a little bit more balanced? And then Bemi, you go.
Okay, so first of all, I think vocational and how do you classify the other one?
Vocational, vocational and informal, like the blue collar workers, like they say in the US.
Okay. So basically, I think first of all, the two categories of work should be separated within when you're saying blue collar and white collar, right? So where Malade is tending towards is more around 21st century cerebral skills and obviously also digital skills as well. And when we're talking about vocational, is more hands-on skills. I believe there is a level playing ground on both ends because the vocational skills that are required, let's say in Nigeria now, for example, I don't think we have enough people that meet many of those requirements. So if you're looking at work in the general perspective of work, I think there's a level playing ground because people can work locally, in terms of, electrician, I'm a plumber, I'm an electrician, I'm a painter, all those kind of jobs. We believe that those skills also are skills that could be acquired on LearnAM as well. as compared to the digital skills where we're looking at people who are doing coding, who are doing, all the digital skills. So I think it's a level playing ground for everyone to be able to access content generally in terms of whatever you want to learn. The only challenge that we see here is some of the vocational skills that we require today cannot fully be 100% digital because they need some kind of practical bit of it where you probably have to go to the nearest. So I believe that LearnAM is also integrating some of that. So if we also look in the global context, so in our company, we have something that we have a local mindset. So it's using global practices for local use, right? So that's what we call it. We say we're a global company. So we're bringing a lot of global practices, global technology as well to drive local impact. So just a brief background of what we do. So we're a licensed OEM. We're also licensed to build, assemble, manufacture devices locally to some extent. And devices include laptops, tablets, phones, and other things along the line over the next couple of years. And we're also charging that technology through education because education is our main business. So we're an edtech company. We're Imperial Educational Services, but we're actually transiting to Imperial EdTech now. So within that space, we've also realized that in the last 10, 11 years that we've been in business, there has also been a very, very high demand for vocational skills abroad. I think Bola knows a bit of our business. So we've been doing placements for about 10 years to students who want to study in different countries and different universities abroad. We've now started getting requests from countries that require things like plumbers, electricians, and all of those kind of things. So that's where the local learning in order to help you learn the skill, critical skill, is necessary. And then on that global side, you now already know the skill. All you just need to learn is a bit of English, at least to communicate your skill and to communicate with your customers. So I think it's actually an aggregator. If you ask me, what you're doing actually just aggregates everyone into the same space. And then third-party partners like us will now be able to give those guys, and like Wave as well, and a few others that we all know, will be able to give those guys opportunities in global markets. So I believe that there's still leverage. It's still an equal playing opportunity, just depending on what kind of skill you have, and just partnering with companies that can help those skilled individuals, create a livelihood for themselves, either by starting their own businesses or by, getting employed in other regions as well.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Bimi and then Maxwell, you can start to round us off, and everyone will get 1 minute to round up.
Thank you, Bola. Just to sort of build on what Molade and Larry said, I'll start out with what you mentioned, the challenge of localized content, and when she talked about the accreditation. And one thing we're finding as we go through this process right now with BMGA is the more people that demand this from the organizations that accredit it, the courses, the more they are forced to look at this. So I'll give you an example. And which is along the lines of what Larry said, where if I look at BMGA, we're positioned honestly more so as a global organization, because majority of our clients right now are working with Google, with American Express. We find that a lot of them are global organizations, and they're reaching out to us for their local employees in Africa. And one thing we've learned very quickly is, for example, if I look at one of our partnerships with Yale University, where we focus on emotional intelligence, it was very important for us to reach out to one of the individuals who created the emotional intelligence test that is used globally by most organizations. But we're taking it a step further now with him. We're creating an African-specific context of emotional intelligence. Because when you talk about emotional intelligence, you have the standard principles that applies to you just being a human being, but there are local nuances to it as well. Same thing with our story intelligence course, where that's in partnership with a story master from Disney, is you have the global principles and you want to learn the best practice of how it's done, but we still have to apply the local context and relevance to that. So I truly believe that's the way you level the playing field. And in terms of that being, it's also the challenge, because you're leveling the playing field to make sure that if I look at all the young women that went through our work readiness program, the BMJ Fellows program last year, within 2 months of graduating from the 6 months program, 50% of them were employed. I mean, somebody who her dream job was to get a job here at a bank in Nigeria was interviewing with Goldman Sachs, right? So the whole idea is like, I want you to have access to whatever it is in the world, but at the same time, you really need to understand, whether it's from a business etiquette perspective, what are the rules of engagement in Nigeria and what are the global rules of engagement? There's no way we can avoid that, because the reality is we live in a global village and you have to understand the rules globally in order for you to compete globally. But whatever culture you exist in, whether it's Nigeria, whether it's Senegal, whether it's in Jordan, you need to understand the local rules there. And I believe that's how you level the playing field. But it's also, the onus is on us, and it's sort of what you guys are doing that I'm very impressed by, is we have to push that conversation and force all these companies that provide services to accredit the courses for them to see our local content and things that are relevant, as long as it meets the global standard, where you can because we're going through that right now, where we have a course we want to introduce, but it's in French. But the reality is the particular service provider we use to accredit our courses, I've never done French before. So we're providing the English version of it, then we translate it to the French version. So we sort of have to push that conversation and force them to acknowledge whatever content we're providing from a local perspective, but it has to meet the global standard. We can't get around that. And I believe that's the way you sort of find that balance and also build that leverage for local talent, for them to have access to the global market, but also if they want to work locally, they're equipped with the right skills and the knowledge of what applies to the local market.
Thank you so much, Gbemi. Maxwell, same, you've heard everybody.
All right, so I have just 2 lines to add. For me, to bridge the digital divide, it is a must that we localize all available contents. Yes, name it, all available contents, we need to localize it. But we have a common challenge, and that challenge is content creation is not cheap, not to mention localizing these contents. So we need to start putting our heads together and say how we can collaborate together so that these contents can be made available for the underserved.
And that's very poignant. So all of you guys that create content, we are working on a vendor program or content creator program. Again, you have a portal, you bring your content, we'll have our specifications. And if we don't have to do anything at all, the rate is 60-40. You take 60, we take 40. We can negotiate if you're a good negotiator. But if we don't have to do anything at all, and you can monitor, so think of Udemy, Coursera, and look at how they've scaled. We can create 10,000 content ourselves. We'll go crazy. So we are going to do some of the work in our office studio. I just saw the bill for the studio today. Thank you very much, Maxwell. The studio is almost complete. And so we have our own original content, but also, and then if the government or institutions that want to partner with us with creating original content, please reach out to us. And if you have your own content that you like to resell on our platform, we are making provisions for that, but we can start the conversations now. So thank you guys so much. 1 minute, if the rest of you can just drop your closing remarks, 1 minute. Thank you.
Who's going to go first? I guess my mic is off.
You go first.
Ladies first.
All right. So, I mean, so you know what? I think we've talked about a lot of things. I think EdTech is definitely the way to go. And my closing remark is going to really be just a challenge to every single person in this room. How do we bring technology down to the very last mile? What is the low tech way? I mean, there's still challenges on the continent, right? Challenges from infrastructure, challenges to the cost of data. I think the last panel talked about the cost of the actual device as well. I think there's a lot that we still need to do to think through low tech solutions to be able to get the skilling to the very last person that needs it. I mean, we can't, the work is huge. There's still a lot of work to do, and we can't sleep on our oars. We need to all kind of continue to put our heads together. Let's stop working in silos and let's come together and collaborate and really truly tackle the problem that is youth unemployment in Nigeria and in Africa at large. And thank you very much to Scholar X for having me.
Thank you so much, Gbemi and then Larry.
Malade took the words out of my mouth. My last remark was going to be collaboration, because it's amazing to learn to see what a lot of people are doing in this space. And there's no point for any one of us to reinvent the wheel if somebody else is doing it. Being able to provide resources and provide access so that we can reach more people. I know that with what we do, if I look at the demographic in which we serve, it will be very interesting to see what kind of work we can do with Wave Academy, for example. What can we do with LearnAM and provide this content we're developing with all these universities across the world, and saying, how can you bring that down and make it accessible to the masses? And I would say collaboration. It's a lot of work to do. There's a lot of problems within this space. And I would just say, I perhaps say my final thing is excellence. Whatever any one of us is doing, whatever area we've decided to tackle, please, we have to do it with, the best way it can possibly be done. And thank you very much, Bola, for having me. It's been a pleasure being part of this, and congratulations. I really can't wait to see where LearnAM goes. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a lot of blood and sweat. Remember the last time we had this conversation was on Clubhouse. Now nobody's on Clubhouse anymore. I remember. So, but one thing we always do at Scholar X is we keep our word. I know some people are like, how are you going to do this? Where are you going to get money from? Well, we got some funding, and we are also working with raising as well. So if you're an investor on the call and you want to see how you can support LearnAM, it's a business. We are generating revenue. Our USSD code is in my hands. So we're going to roll that out as well. We're going to make a lot of revenue and impact a lot of lives across Nigeria, across West Africa, across Sub-Saharan Africa. We are even going to look into Latin America. So don't sleep on us. Look at the edtech industry in India. It didn't exist 10 years ago. Now we have companies that are 10 times the size of some fintech companies that we cheer for in Nigeria, and they're in edtech in India. And the same thing is possible. LearnAM is going to change the game. Like I said in my earlier remarks, it's a new day. And be on board with us. If you want to reach out, my email is bola@scholarx.co for anyone that wants to reach out to me. Someone from my team can write that email. If you want to reach out to us generally, it's info@scholarx.co. Check us out on social media as well. LearnAM social media handle is @LearnAM. The website is www.learnam.africa. So Larry, you can finish us up and we can start the next panel. I'm so sorry about time, but the internet issues kind of make things a little drag a little longer. So Larry, let's finish it up.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll just pretty much just segue from what the other panelists have said. I think the main thing is number one, leverage, which also points to collaboration. Number two would be also, a lot of education and edtech companies are working in silos. Like she said, a lot of people are building amazing stuff. So like, say, for example, we have a product that can make content available locally without internet, for example. That's a big driver. That's one of the biggest things that we're driving. I had a conversation with Maxwell yesterday and was really excited about what we can do with that. So even in situations where phones are not available and all.
Oh, you guys have had the conversation now, finally.
Yeah. So even in where phones are not available, we can still
solid conversation, Bola.
Good.
So I mean, there are opportunities, and I think I'll just say this just so I don't take too much time. Bola, I think we should try and create an edtech network. I know you started the edtech bros, but I don't know who started that. But there was some edtech platform. But I think within this LearnAM launch, a lot can actually scale very, very quickly. So I would suggest that maybe the people that are involved in edtech and financing and all of that, maybe we can all come into a group to actually have conversations where we can all show our strengths and what we can do, and also leverage as well for LearnAM and for each other's businesses. So I think that's the key point I think we should leverage on. So I think that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any last words, Maxwell? Okay, I think Maxwell is off there. So thanks again to everyone that has joined. I'll begin bringing up our, I don't know who that is, because it just, for some reason, some name shows up on everybody. We'll start our fireside session shortly. I think we are missing one person. This is all we have for now, right?
Hi, Bola. Yes, everyone is here for the fireside chat. Say for
Including
Matthew, but I think we've got,
except for Matthew,
Matthew is
right?
not here.
All right,
Yes, so we can go ahead.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start then. Thank you everyone that has joined so far, and we know we took quite a bit of your day, but I believe it's for a good reason. LearnAM is here to change things, and we are really excited about what we've done. And so I'm going to proceed with the fireside chat. I'm actually the host of this chat, original host of it. My name is Bola Lawal. For those who don't know me, I'm the co-founder and CEO of ScholarX, and we've been running ScholarX since 2016. And we're excited that we have the opportunity to relaunch something into the market called LearnAM. We're excited about that. So on the panel today, I'll introduce the panelists. First, we have Claire Shipthorpe. In case I mispronounce your name, my apologies. She's the head of Connected Society and Connected Woman, part of the GSMA, I believe. Thank you for coming. We have Bankole Alao, is the head of digital at Airtel and our very key partner. Thank you very much. I also recognize Ehrumo is here, the head of corporate communications at Airtel is also here as well. And then we have Teju Abisoye. Teju is the executive secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Is someone I really respect, and I've been watching the work they've done at Lagos Employment Trust Fund. We've also done some things together. So really, really, really happy and excited to have you today, and I'm excited to hear some of your insights. And so thank you very much to everyone on the panel. And I'll just go straight to it. So the panel is about internet adoption in Africa, the challenge and the opportunities. One of the reasons why the internet adoption rate, not mobile adoption, but internet adoption rate is there about 24% in the continent, and you should take sub-Saharan Africa. So that means that a lot of what we do can get into the hands of majority of people in Africa. So a lot of the technologies that we build, a lot of the learning content that is available for people, whether it's localized or any other form, most of the people can't really access it. So I'll start with, this question is for Claire. So in your own opinion, what's the biggest hindrance to internet adoption in Africa? What are the challenges that have been identified and the opportunities, solutions that lie within? And then maybe you can give some context in terms of the gender divide as well, particularly how women are also sidelined from access to or not part of the adoption framework of internet in Africa. Thanks again for coming, Claire.
Thanks, and thanks so much for having me, and congratulations on your launch. It's been fascinating to follow.
Thank you.
Yeah, so when we look at what are the kind of reasons why people aren't just included, we look at both coverage and usage. Do people have coverage to the internet? Are they using it? And it's clear that the far bigger issue is usage. So 94% of the world's population are now covered by mobile broadband. But most of the unconnected people live in an area, and most of they live in an area covered by mobile broadband. So And I think even though Africa as a region which has the largest coverage gap, it still remains the case that the usage gap is the bigger issue. So we need to tackle those barriers, the ones that you mentioned, I think, in the opening, if we're going to tackle it. So the top barriers in our research are affordability, particularly handset affordability, and a lack of literacy and digital skills. So those are the sort of key barriers that I think we need to address if we're going to get people using the internet, and those large groups that are living in areas with this coverage. And you asked about gender. So yeah, gender is a big factor. In fact, in sub-Saharan Africa is the region with the largest gender gap in mobile internet. It's 37%. Women are 37% less likely to use the internet than men. The barriers that they face are the same as men. So lack of affordability, lack of literacy and digital skills, accessibility, safety harassment, lack of relevant content and services. So all the same barriers that men face, but they just face them disproportionately because of social norms and sort of disparities in terms of income and education. So, addressing those sort of structural inequalities is also very important. Does that give you what you were, is that, did I miss part of your question?
No, that's good. That's good. Yeah, thank you very much. So I'll go to Teju. You guys have done amazing work with Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, and that's most of your work. So I'll just ask you, in your opinion, what really is the future of African workforce with regards to high level of digital skills demand?
Hi, Bola, congratulations.
Demand, is there a need and how do we meet it?
Congratulations first on the launch of the platform. We're really proud to be associated with ScholarX. So and great job, amazing work you're doing. We've done a number of collaboration with respect to the education sector, and we're really happy to have for the support you have provided for us with respect to delivering our mandate of job creation. So to the question, I think what we are suffering from, I heard Tayo Oviosu talk recently, and he gave a keynote and explained that in Nigeria, for example, the broadband penetration is still 20% or less, is less than 20%, meaning that we're still very, that means we're still very in infancy stages, because America, for example, in 2010, was already at penetration of over 60%. So you're having a conversation where we're really behind in terms of broadband penetration so when we talk about the whole thing about accessibility of digital platforms, digital jobs, we have to look at it from that sense of how many people, and I'll share a few numbers because again, we've seen a few platforms more recently springing up with regards to being able to be part of the gig economy, and people are registering on digital platforms to freelance. But there's still a limitation even at that space for them, and which is really tied to access to broadband, or what we would in normal parlance just call data in Nigeria. But is the government working on this? Yes. I think one of the priorities of this current administration is the laying of the fiber optic across Lagos. It's over 6,000 kilometers, and I think we're about 2,000 done, because again, is to make it as available as possible. I think there are other structures that can work much faster. So when I think about the mobile companies that have the assets already in place, how do we make sure we can make this broadband available, whether government subsidized or funded? Almost 100%. We just have a partnership with one of the digital companies or the telcos, and see how we can pay them some almost guaranteed cash flow on an annual basis, so everybody can have access, because they already have the infrastructure across the states. There's no need for me to be building or trying to get that infrastructure in place. But it's just a conversation, it's just something that is interesting. But the digital jobs, that's the future, that's the workforce of the future, and how are we going to make sure that our people are aligned and ready to be able to take part in that economy? And I think we really need to be aggressive about making sure that we make broadband available.
Thank you so much, Teju. That was quite interesting. So I'll go to Bankole real quick. So Banky, what role do you see telcos playing in the future of skilled workforce, skilled worker/workforce, since there seems to be pockets of aggregation of skilled workers on platforms such as LearnAM platform? How can telcos help with job matching? And if there are any other things that you heard earlier that you feel like the role, there's a big role for telcos to play in, please go ahead as well.
Okay, thanks, Bola. Let me join everyone in congratulating you as well on this launch. But since we are very short on time, I'll just go straight to the question. I think I will borrow a little bit from what Claire said, because our thought process is similar in saying that coverage is far greater than usage, right? And that's a reality today. So in all of what Claire said, that stood out for me because it was something that I had pondered for a while, that you find that in Africa and in Nigeria specifically, you have coverage, but usage is far less. And it's also similar to what Teju mentioned about the quotes from a few people about the 20% broadband penetration and all of these things. So to the specifics of the question, I think in Nigeria today, the mobile operator or the telco, like you call them, represents the single most omnipresent connection or link for an individual user to the internet. No wonder that the guys at Lagos State are trying to build fiber across the country or across the state, I beg your pardon. But that said, if the mobile operator today is the first and possibly the most reliable connection for any person to get online, then you can't wish away their influence. You can't wish away the role that they have to play in driving this digital skills initiative or this digital skills cause that LearnAM and a few others behind you are pursuing. And I feel, if you look at it critically, I think there's probably no better partner for you in a sense to actually get into the corners that you want to get into the reach that you want to achieve for digital skills. And I think we're starting to show a clear way forward in the kind of partnerships that we are starting to hatch. So clear example is what we're doing with you guys at ScholarX on this LearnAM initiative, where we're looking beyond just being that pipe that people connect to the internet through, to actually being an active player and an enabler in getting the skills, in getting the platform, in getting the marketplace into the hands of our users, either through connectivity on the internet side or through usage of our wide retail network, our various touch points that you have all across the country. Because at the end of the day, you still need physical touch points for people to get some of these things in their hands. You guys spoke about devices earlier, you spoke about an app and all of those things. Those things won't get to the customer if there isn't a touch point for them to go to. We usually bandy about something called nearness to serve. I think telcos, beyond any other sector, beyond any player in the market today, provide you with ample resources. Airtel specifically, in my case, we usually say something across the country and in our communication that we have the widest 4G coverage in Nigeria. So I think there is no better way to express the value that the telco will bring, and specifically Airtel in this case, for pushing this digital skills gap closure that we're talking about, we've been speaking of all evening.
Thank you very much, Bankole. I believe Matthew has joined us. Matthew, welcome. This is the fireside chat for the LearnAM launch, and the topic, like is the internet adoption in Africa, the challenge and the opportunities. And so I'll just ask one question about how can various sectors work together to co-create digital products suited for the underserved. So let's look at partnerships. And even when we first started working on our KaiOS app, one of the things we looked at, we saw other apps already there, And a lot of it was from partnerships that you guys as KaiOS engineering. And so if you can just share a little bit more insights on how these collaborations, partnerships can help, further add into digital products that would be suitable for the underserved. And when we say suitable, we are talking about some of the things Banky just said. If you just make an app on Android and all this fancy device, they can't use it. So suitable encompasses everything in between that needs to make it happen. So if you can just walk us through or give us some insights on that.
Yeah, thanks for the question. Happy to join this community and try to explain what we've done. I think the question is broader than KOS, so I may just be able to answer from a platform perspective. When we created KOS 5 years ago, one of the things we saw is that outside of the usage in the region of Africa, the percentage of usage on app created within Africa was fairly low. I think it was nearly below 1%. So the dynamic is twofold when on your question is, number one, there is a capacity to explain to people who don't know internet what is internet and help them access it. So we have a unique platform in this sense because all the users that will turn to a KOS platform will only come from a non-internet background. If you engage on a smartphone, it's a large screen, it has a lot of value and interface, and KOS is affordable internet. So there is this dimension of creating, let me say, the rule of the game of the platform and helping developer understand that, yes, you can develop for a touch screen, but a non-touch environment might be more comfortable and simple and more straightforward to understand for the user. So this is one. Can you hear me well, Bola? Yeah, okay. And I think the second is to try to foster the local ecosystem. So it's about building partnership with local developers, making sure we convey the message to them and foster this local development. So we did a dedicated partnership with a tech school in Ethiopia. We did some community building in some. We didn't start in Nairobi, where we had in East Africa a much stronger dynamic. So we invested into the ecosystem in Nairobi because we've seen that many developers are over there. So it's again the awareness to kind of let them understand you're doing a game, you go the Android route, makes a lot of sense, and you're going to access a lot of people on Android, and the community is far broader on Android than on KOS. But if you go on KOS, you may join the people next street or next village or next, so it makes more sense for your community, and people are really sensitive to that. So that's what we're trying to do. We have a store where we're trying to put in the what we call the recommended tab, or on top of the store, the apps which are in local language, making sense locally, paying attention to really the dynamic that happen in every single market. And I would say the complexity we have is really on this awareness. This is why I appreciate so much the partnership with ScholarX. It's, you guys are local. You talk every day, you live every day the roots and the understanding of what are the dynamic of your own market. So you're the best source of information for us to understand what we can do. And that's the way we look at it.
Thank you very much. Let me go back to let me go back to maybe Teju can also answer that partnership question, because you're probably the only agency in Lagos that, if you say jump, I'll jump. Well, no, I'll just run it, but I don't want government problem. So there's a lot of, you have your mandates to the amount of jobs you need to create in Lagos. So this whole partnership thing, if you can delve into it as well. Okay. I know you probably don't want to get into the business of creating platforms yourself, but you want to partner with enablers, enabling institutions, organizations that will help you do that. And maybe you can use also for the purpose of people that have just joined, or people are not in Nigeria or in Lagos that know the work of Lagos Employment Trust Fund. If you can maybe give us a little bit of insight into some of the things that you guys are working on as well, and then come back to the partnership question.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bala. So I'll just very quickly talk about Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. We were set up in 2016 to address the issues of youth unemployment in Lagos State. At that time, youth unemployment was about 23%. Currently, it's at 37.14% post-COVID. And again, we all understand what happens with the economy. But what we've done in Lagos State Employment Trust Fund is to find strategic ways to actually support or enable enterprises to create jobs. Our flagship program has been access to finance, support and attendant support services to make sure that small businesses can have access to affordable financing so that they can use that financing to improve productivity, thrive, and possibly employ more people. That's the flagship program. We've been able to support over 12,000 businesses with access to loans, credit facility at affordable rates. We've also done it with access to grants to support recovery, whether it's post-COVID or any issues that are going on in October last year. We had the NSAS issues that ended up with vandalization and looting, and we supported about 2,000 businesses with grants to help their recovery. Our second program, which is also what Bola is probably very knowledgeable about, is our Lagos Innovates program, which is supporting the startup ecosystem with access to infrastructure, access to talent, and then connecting them to investors outside the borders of Nigeria and within Nigeria. This is very critical because, again, for the ecosystem to develop properly, the way we're looking at it, it needs some form of government support. And we've been able to design that in such a way that is effective. And we've seen development in that ecosystem. Lagos State is now the startup capital for Africa. But it's the conscious effort of the government to make sure that we're doing the right thing that the ecosystem needs. Our third program is around employability. How do we make sure people get the right skills to employ so that they can take up jobs that are available in the market? And that will take me straight to the issue of partnership. First of all, we recognize that while we're in social impact and we look at the data across the world, there's 75 billion for grants or philanthropy organization assets under management to fund social enterprises, about 5% of that on an annual basis. But there's over 3 trillion in the commercial space. Now, the funds needed alone to get to the consumer, the people that require this funding, whether for impact, ESG, social SDGs, is not enough that is available both ways, whether for the philanthropy in the commercial is not enough because it's expensive. So how do we make sure that we can collaborate effectively in such a way that we can make sure that the funds are available, first of all, and secondly, that we are enabling the people that can do it best to do it. So at the Employment Trust Fund, we recognize very quickly that we're just an enabler. We're just a support system to make sure people can create those jobs. So we're always collaborating with the private sector, with DFIs, with commercial banks, anybody playing in the ecosystem that can help our mandate and make sure that people create jobs. Collaboration, government can't do it alone, DFIs can't do it alone, commercial banks can't do it alone. Only the government has the leverage and the size to be able to go and penetrate the entire market or the landscape. Now, we need that for us is critical, and that's why we're so keen to make sure that anytime we're working, we're always working in partnership. We don't try to create those, we don't try to create a platform. Like Bola was saying, I'm not trying to create a learning platform. I would rather work with LearnAM so that LearnAM can deliver results in the ecosystem. The same way I would not be trying to do many things. So what we do with our hub voucher programs, we don't create, the Lagos State government doesn't have a hub. What we're doing is supporting private sector players to be able to provide this service to the ecosystem. Thank you, Bola. I hope it answers the question and gives a bit of insight. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Teju. So I'll go to Claire. I don't know if there's anything you've heard so far that you wanted to comment on, or if you can tell us a little bit more about what you do at Connected Women and how that can help us improve some of the issues that we have with the digital divide and the lack of connectivity or lack of inclusion in terms of digital services, and how we can make things better.
Sure. So I lead our digital inclusion programs at GSME in the Mobile Development Department. And so we look at, who is not using the internet and what can we address, and we sort of identify a number of key segments. So, rural communities, women, persons with disabilities. And then we collect a lot of data to sort of understand the issue. And I would say, in terms of what we can do, I think that's an important factor. And I actually mentioned it, but we really need to understand what are not only the barriers, but also the needs of these different segments of people who are currently not digitally included. What the barriers facing, what do they need, how does it match to their life needs, and how we can address it. And there's a lack of data, especially disaggregated data, like gender disaggregated data. So I would say that, so we try to collect that data, and I would say that that's an area that I think all interventions need to be really evidence and data, based on evidence and based on data. And then we then support our members to try and tackle the barriers and drive increased digital inclusion. The barriers, like I mentioned, like digital skills. We have a digital skills training toolkit that we have made available for free to anybody who wants to use it. We look at a lot of handset affordability, a lot of these issues. So, and I think sort of another key recommendation, so understanding the issue is one recommendation. Another recommendation is really just to ensure that products, services, marketing, distribution holistically address the barriers and aspirations that people face. It's important to address all the barriers from affordability, safety, security, knowledge, skills, and ensuring this relevant content. So kind of looking at tackling the range of barriers. And has been mentioned repeatedly in this session, this all requires collaboration. It needs all different stakeholders from different sectors to tackle it. There's no one stakeholder that can do it on its own. So I think collaboration is absolutely critical, and it needs to be also a good and enabling policy environment as well in place. So
thank you very much. So my mistake, I mixed it up. I didn't realize that Benga was also on this panel. So Benga Omolokun is an executive director at VFD Group, the people behind VFD Bank, digital bank that we're partnering with. So Benga, you've heard some of the discussion so far. If you want to chime in, but also this adoption issue, how do you see it, and what do you think can be done, especially from enabling small scale enterprises? So from taking people from zero access to getting them connected to enabling them as small businesses. How do you see all of that evolving?
Yeah, so I think, at the root of it is really collaboration, right? Because there are just so many sectors involved. There are just so many people, different skill set, different positions, especially in life, different organizations involved, right? Again, not one organization can actually tackle all of these things, alone. So I think at the root of it is increased collaborations. Well, I muted, yeah.
I'm muted. So I'll go back to Bankole. There were some conversations in the previous panel. Part of it was even about government collaboration, how government can come in, and then there was some discussions that led towards, the rates at which it's being put on phones that makes it even more expensive, the duty and all of that. From a telco standpoint, if you can generalize, what can you guys do to make things better in terms of cost, in terms of penetration, and everything else involved? Like, just from a telco standpoint, I know you guys have ways of doing things. Just very simple question, how can you make things better?
I think the easy answer, without saying too many things, is being very partner friendly. I think that's the easy answer, right? And and I'll explain a little bit more if you allow me some time. I think as a telco, there's very little ground to play around in device purchase. And the people who have been in this market for long will explain to you that, telcos used to be the dominant channel in years past. However, we couldn't compete with the gray market or the gray channel. Previous speakers who've been around for very long, who have done business with in the past, also said as much. So we've made peace with that reality, right? We're talking about what we can do with what is existing now, right? The guys talked about what government could do or what could happen, like rates, custom duties, removal, and all that stuff. But making peace with what exists now, the best that a telco can do, like Ethel is doing with LearnAM, is be partner friendly, be very open-minded, be supportive, and be willing to be considered more as a very reliable distribution layer for a number of initiatives that will drive these goals that we have. So partner friendly means when a platform like LearnAM comes to me and says, look, guys, we want to do this, how can you help us? The default posture is to say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do this. We don't sell phones, we don't do that. We don't, try to use the traditional siloed approach or walled garden approach and say, look, this is how we do it and no other way. But you see, being partner friendly is listening to a partner like LearnAM, Scholar X, and saying, okay, guys, so I'm sure you guys know that we're no longer in the business of buying phones or buying smartphones and all of that, but we are in the business of getting people access to what they need on those phones. We still have our retail footprint like Ethel has all over the country. We still have a lot of indirect channel partners as well, and we're willing to put that to good use, especially if objectives like the ones that you've espoused can be met. Objectives like internet penetration obviously come with what you're offering. There's a certain point you get to when you're selling a utility like the internet. Unfortunately, many people don't agree that internet is a utility in Africa, but it is a utility, right? There's a certain point you get to that giving them more internet will not move the needle on their consumption or their usage. But giving them additional things to do with the internet will give them more usage, which is what Claire spoke about earlier. And our objective as a company, as a telco, as a provider, is to drive increased usage on our networks. We've invested so much money building our networks across the country. There's no point in having utilization that isn't great. So the more we can push people with the more platforms that have value like LearnAM, the better for us. So we've taken that approach as a business to say, look, where are the partners, where are the adjacent industries that we can really sit down and collaborate with that can push consumption or usage, as you want to call it, in this market? And how can we help? What are the assets that we have? What are the pain points that these partners have that they're looking to leverage on our side? And we've opened ourselves up to that. I think there's no clearer evidence of that of that collaboration than today where we are with you. We started this journey a while back. I think we saw the light when many didn't, even though you didn't have a lot of what you have, the big shots here and GSMA, KaiOS and everyone here, but at least we stood with you through thick and thin. And I think the future is really bright. We're very bullish, we're positive about the impact this is going to have. It's going to really close the divide for us and for you and for the country in particular.
Thank you. I know Matthew raised his hands up to contribute. Please go ahead. I was going to ask you, one of the things that we hear is, we need more KaiOS phones in Nigeria. So in addition to what you're about to say, how are we going to make this happen?
I just wanted to echo on what you say, because I totally, I heard you and you said come to peace and peace of mind on this approach and be at the service of others. And I can only share these words because what I've seen, at least from a KaiOS perspective, is one of the complex points is to make sure you don't take ownership. You put yourself at the service of someone else and let them take ownership of your story and make them their stories. I mean, in your example, it's about your ultimate objective is to bring internet and have data consumption, regardless of where is the data. So if it's good to have an opinion, but you need to be flexible and open-minded to let the market go where it wants to be, and this is probably the best. And I agree, and it's about the collaboration word that came before. I just wanted to comfort this because I've faced it, where I've seen some people trying to take the ownership of a KOS platform and kind of copy paste what was done in some other platform, or think from a central point which is not close enough to the market and think, oh, I'm not sitting in Nigeria, but you know what, I know what's happening in Nigeria. No, you don't sit in Nigeria and then, or at least try to listen. So I think it's a key point. If you ask me what we can do for the Nigerian market within KOS, I think it's just continuing to be part of this type of discussion, raise the awareness, help people understand the potential, respect the rule of the game. I mean, Nigeria is a huge market which has its own complexity. Gray market is one item. The affordability is always a dimension in Africa. I mean, you can say internet is a resource. I can add it's an expensive resource to build from an operator perspective. I mean, you need to take a risk, and it's an order of billion magnitude type of risk when it comes to bring a network to Nigeria. So the first guy who's taking a risk is probably the operator. And then we need to get along. So it's easy to knock on the door of the operator and say, hey, the price of your data is too expensive. Can you please decrease it? But you need to consider how much has been spent before and kind of respect this type of thing. So what we do from KOS, we do this type of conversation. We try to understand how we get the content more local. We work within the mobile industry, so we try to incorporate our technology right at the beginning of the chain, so it's kind of easy to be implemented. So any device that get bought in Nigeria were produced in China, and there was no hiccup. And we don't make our revenue out of the license. So any device that gets sold in the market that is KOS doesn't bring me a revenue direct. The way I build my revenue, I bring my revenue through usage, which means when someone win a user, we step in with a monetization model, and we only start to build our own business when someone else is benefiting from the business. So in the case of Airtel, this would be the day the consumers start to consume on data, then it would probably be exposed to some games with advertising, then our monetization model kicks in. But before that, we try to be as close as possible to affordability problem by not charging anything upfront. So this is our approach, which is global approach. Then Nigeria is a market where we could talk for hours on the way competition goes on and the distribution market, the mobile device. We go step by step. We've done some first good step for the past 2 years. I think we have the ambition to continue. We're bringing some new monetization ideas, some new tools to engage the user, and especially making sure the user is ready to spend. It's not because people don't have a lot of money in their pocket that they don't have money. They have. You just need to make sure you explain a bit better what you bring them. So WhatsApp makes sense to all of us. If you never had WhatsApp before, someone needs to take the time to explain what is WhatsApp. So something like the MIST program from GSMA is an instrumental tool to think and say, a voice user, how do you explain this person what is WhatsApp? And you need to take this extra mile, which you may not need to take for a smartphone user. Sorry, I'm deviating a bit, but
thank you very much. And so thanks to all the panelists. I'll give you 1 minute to close out and give us anything that's on your mind with regards to, I know Teju has to leave. Teju, if you can just 1 minute and then you can say your goodbyes. But thank you very much for joining us. So 1 minute for everyone to just give us their closing remarks. Thank you so much, and we really appreciate everyone that joined us today.
So thank you again, Bola, for having me. I was just going to final note is again, I like what you said, and the direction is collaboration. We can make this happen. We can expand the reach of the platforms. We can make sure that everybody has access. but it's going to take collaboration to be able to deliver this, to learn the skill and to make the infrastructure available across the entire state or country. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you. And Claire, do you want to go next? And then Banky, Matthew, and then Binga.
Sure. And thanks so much for having me here. And I think sort of my final word would be, I think, to do what you're doing, which is, really make sure that you're understanding what people need and how to address those needs. So, base everything on that strong understanding, and also to say again, collaboration, because I think understanding people's needs and then working together with others to address them is the way forward.
Thank you so much. Bankole. Okay, I get it.
Okay, I think at the end of the day, I think the takeaway here is that we all need to be open-minded. The problems are not insurmountable. They are huge, yeah. The country is massive. The opportunity is great. So I think as long as we stay open-minded and we are ready to collaborate, like Tedros said, I think we'll be fine. I think we should take a few more risks, like Matthew said. I'll borrow a little bit from what he said as well. And I just want to say that to any interested change maker out there that, we're open to collaborate. We're happy to listen. Obviously, we will not do everything, but we will be very open enough to pick and work with whoever it is that has those kind of goals that align with what we are pursuing as well. So thanks again, Bola, and I wish the LearnAM program tremendous success.
Thank you so much. Matthew, and then Mega will close us out.
Well, thanks. I think I made my point in the intervention before. So thanks again for the invitation and the opportunity to participate and explain a bit more about Kai and meeting these people.
Thank you very much. Benga, you've been a really wonderful sport all day, and thanks for all your support. So the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Bola. Thanks again for having me here. I'm happy that we're actually going to be collaborating with you on this. Final word really is it's all about collaboration, right? And besides the parties you've been able to bring together, I think it's also bringing in new parties and more parties, right? So, we've had some other conversations on even looking at the creative sector and other sectors and what you're creating essentially is a platform on which a lot can be built. And I say once again, congrats to Scholar X team. We're solidly behind you guys. I think everybody here has your back. We wish you all the best.
Thank you so much. Like I just mentioned in a group, we can breathe now, but breathe because the anxiety and the anticipation is now over. Now the real sweet hard work begins. Because this is what we like to do. We if it's work, we'll do it. But we want to make sure that what we do is the right thing, and we are targeting the right people. We're making what they want, and we're reaching them where they are. So we're really excited about that. So thanks to all of the panelists today that were here, and we thank you so much. So I'm going to proceed now with the closing remarks, and we can close out the official virtual launch of LearnAM. So again, I'd just like to thank everyone. I thank the entire Scholar X team, Maxwell, Dami, Chisom, Daniel. I'm missing someone. Okwe. I'm not gonna name everyone because I can't remember everyone's name. Our team is growing fast. Chisom, Karen has been really. Chisom, what's your intern's name? I really want to make sure I appreciate him as well. Elijah. I didn't want to forget Elijah. Also my assistant Ruth, and everyone that everyone that has helped out. Thank you so much. Again, you can download LearnAM on iOS, on KaiOS, and on Android. Just search LearnAM, you find it. We are looking to work with partners looking for investors. Our seed, our bridge round to the seed is currently ongoing, and if you would like to invest, we'll be willing to talk to you. We have huge partners behind us. This is going to scale. Millions of people are going to use LearnAM in Nigeria and across Africa, and maybe even Latin America, Southeast Asia, and even some parts of the Middle East. To localize content play. So local doesn't only mean Nigeria. It means where learning can be done in local context, not just the language, but also the mannerisms, the demeanor, the nuances that people understand in the language. And that's what we are doing with LearnAM. We're going to bring in content creators. They will have opportunities to put their content on our platform, similarly to Udemy and Coursera and all these other platforms. We're making a lot of the things. So think of us as the rails that you can put your learning, build your learning content on, but also get it access to millions of people across most underserved or underdeveloped countries. Thank you so much for everyone that's helped us. This was just an idea during lockdown. It's now a product that's live. Tell people within your communities to download LearnAM. We'll be in a community near you. The launch is just the launch day, not just the launch day. We're going to have a series of events and activities across the country. You will also see our billboards around. You'll see our community agents walking into communities and showing people how to use the app, why you should use the app, and things they can learn and gain from it. We want a lot of content on there. We want a lot of content that will change people's lives. We want to build courses and models. So we're open to partnerships. Please reach out to us. And if you have suggestions, also let us know. Thanks to every single person that's helped make this happen. It really means a lot to me personally, but also it means a lot to our team that, you know, this has become reality. Again, we thank the GSMA Innovation Fund for Internet Adoption and mobile internet adoption and digital inclusion, funded by the FCDO, the UK government, for funding innovation grants. That $200,000 that you used to sow a seed in us is now a live product that everybody can use, and we have continued to build more content. So thank you so much for the support. Thank you so much for the technical support as well, and also impending partners that we're looking to work with, like Mercy Corps and the International Rescue Community. We're looking forward to work and to really do meaningful work with LearnAM to get people access in distressed areas like IDP camps in the Northeast, Nigeria, and other areas. Thanks to every single person. And this is where we'll say bye-bye. And if we call you again, please attend. We really enjoyed your company today. Thank you, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Take care.
We can create another Zoom for the team. Let's just unwind on the regular Zoom. I'll send the link for the whole team.